All right.
Expensive and
Start it up.
Yeah, you want to have a low price.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for coming out. Another awesome turnout every week. More and more people sharing. I love it, so it's pretty cool. My name's Anthony, by the way. Who has never been to a coffee meetup ever? First one. Cool. Speaking.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to help Johnny a little bit, just keep this event going over time, because I've been here for the last 3 months and I just benefit so much, and I have so many ideas, and it's cool to narrow it down and talk to different people like mine. So I like keeping things like this going. I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. I want to give the floor to you guys. Does anybody have any new events, something cool going on? I know Jason mentioned the hike. He was curious on, is there an event for a hike? I know a lot of people do hiking on the weekend and go up the mountain. Does anyone know more on that?
I'll tell you something.
Oh yeah, cool. All right, so
Hey, how's it going? There's lots of new faces at the moment. I've been away for 6 weeks. I'm normally here forever, and then I'm going away tomorrow again for 10 weeks. But I still love Chiang Mai, and I still am on lots of things. I know a lot about visas and other things. Anyway, they do I think they call it Hike Doi Satep or something like that. It's a weekly event. Most weekends it's on Saturday and Sunday, and there's a group that I can get the event for and put it into the Nomad Coffee Club post. Anyway, so tonight between 5:30 and 7, so just straight after this, Elvis has come back to life, and he's going to be in Gatong Gao down the bottom floor. So if you're around for that, it's all good. There's also a weekly email that comes out, and you can get that information on Chiang Mai events or on the Farang Community Chiang Mai. It basically is just a whole list of what's happening in Chiang Mai for the next week and then a couple of months. So get on that email list if you're able to. Cool. And then just another quick advice about parking and stuff like that. In Nijmegen, they like to have parking on different days. So you'll see a sign like that out there, and it says odd. So anytime this afternoon, these 5 bikes out here may get ticketed. Okay, so just watch out for that. And then on even days, the other side. So just watch out for that. But otherwise, enjoy Chiang Mai. If you have any questions, I'm Shane, and ChiangMaiAmbassador.com.
cool. Does anybody else have any other cool announcements, something new going on they want to share with the community, anything at all? Doesn't have to be strictly formal or anything. I just want to keep everyone involved if we can. Cool. No? Okay. All right. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mayur, and we're going to talk about managing teams. I'm trying to think of what to say. Managing teams remotely, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, is that? I'm trying.
Managing teams of remote workers remotely.
Workers specifically. Sorry, I slipped my mind there. But all right, I'm going to leave it to you at this point.
Yeah.
And maybe just a round of applause just to introduce Mayur. Thank you.
Hi guys, thanks for coming. So just a quick recap about me. I'm a finance professional. I've worked with rating agencies, with investment research companies, outsourcing companies for last 6 years. And last couple of years I've been working with a startup, managing a team remotely. And I thought I'll just share a few points that I learned over my journey managing the team remotely. So being an Indian, you might be mistaken to believe that, we are used to remote working and stuff, because you have those call center guys calling you from different places. But that's not the case. So I'll share my journey and the sort of cultural difficulties that we face being in India, and how to source people, and how I source people, how I source resumes, how I hire people, and how I fire them. So yeah, that's about it. So I'll divide the topic in 3 parts. First is building the team. Second one would be second topic that I want to talk about is basically breaking the ice with the team members, training them and nurturing them. And last part is okay. I did say that the name of the topic is managing the team, but it's mostly about unmanaging because you want to get rid of all the management stuff and want to make that part of your job boring so that you can focus other places. So let's start with building the team. So the first thing that comes to my mind while thinking about building a team is how do I source candidates who would like to work remotely? In a place like India, when I give interviews and I tell them that I work remotely, they think that I don't have a job and I'm going to give them a fake certificate, experience certificate. So it's very difficult to convince people that such jobs exist and it's not Amway. So yeah, that's one thing. So while sourcing resumes, essentially the sources are the same, like LinkedIn, some job boards, career builder, and those sort of things. But one thing that I particularly look for while sourcing resumes is how keen are the guys in working, remotely. So that's my first question to people who I sort of pick up and I want to interview further. So the first thing I ask is, why do you want to work remotely? And or do you want to work remotely for that matter? Most of the people say no to, so that makes my job easier. Some of them who say yes, they are also in two minds because they have not heard of their friends working remotely, or especially in financial services. Oh, it's very difficult to find such people. If I was in IT, probably it would have been easier for me to pick up people who want to work remotely, but in finance it's quite difficult. Then you want people who can be adaptable to situations, because the learning curve when you start working remotely is very steep, and especially in a place like India where first few weeks in a job are structured training and you don't have to do anything on your own to start with. It becomes difficult for people to just switch and start doing everything on their own. So that's something I normally look for. They should be adaptable so that they can start on their own. They should be independent. So these are the things, and everything else is essentially the same. You will match the skills, you'll look for the experience, you look for the relevance. So it's the same as offline environment. Now moving to hiring. So this is where I try to understand reasons behind why the person wants to work remotely. Is it the choice of the person to work remotely, or is it the job content that is appealing to that person? Because a lot of people I've seen, they use this opportunity, they use working with my company as an opportunity to just buy time to look for another job. So that's not something, or there are people who have some personal difficulties for 3 months or 6 months, and then they want to just work from home for some time and then look for another job. So this is something which is very critical to me. I want to know, is it the job content? If it's the job content which entices that person to apply to that job, welcome. If there are any long-term commitments because of which the person has to work from home, that's still okay with me. But then anything short-term like 3 months to 6 months and stuff, that's really waste of time, because you will spend time training that person and then you will pay salary for a while and then he goes off. So yeah. And especially in places like India, because we have this culture of having a boss around and cribbing about boss and stuff. A lot of people can't work without boss being around or without somebody pushing them to work. So this sort of things I would like to get out right in the interview process, so that I don't hire people who just do nothing. I've done that, and I'll talk more about it in the firing part. So yeah. Yep. So about the experience in hiring process in India, I have some interesting bits to share. So I have, taken like 20 interviews so far, 20, 25 or more than that. And one common question that people ask me, during the interview process is whether I get my salary in my account regularly. So this is something which I feel is because people are not used to working remotely. In fact, a lot of my relatives, uncles, aunts, they still ask my parents that whether I have a job, and so that's something which is probably very particular to India or emerging countries where such kinds of jobs are not very commonplace. Then the onboarding part is something I would say is very critical, because unlike office environment, you don't have formal process, or you don't have a way to onboard people. So all that you have to do is online. So you want to make a checklist of things to do when onboarding a new person, like the list of tools that you use regularly, or the kind of accesses that you need. Like for example, in my case, we need a lot of database accesses. So I want to make sure that those things are quickly get rid of, so that we can focus more on starting off and being more productive. And then probably the most important part in managing team remotely is breaking the ice with people, because first few weeks are the time when you have to build that trust or rapport with people, so that it becomes smooth. Because first few weeks are when even the candidates or new employees are not sure about the job, because they have not worked remotely ever, and they're still trying it out. And that's the time when you have to build the confidence in them, so that they stay with you for a long time and they don't really panic about getting into a wrong place. So to build trust, what I normally do is, I don't talk about work in first few days. I try to know the person more, because when you're working from home, the line between work and life is blur. So you want to build that personal relationship with people you work with, so that they feel comfortable at work as well as with life. So essentially, you want to be friends with them. You want to be the mentor rather than a manager who can understand them, and who can who can be there when they want, and who can understand the circumstances they are going through. For example, I work with a lot of women with a kid, and for them this job is something which is which is keeping them in the workforce, I would say, because they can't go out and find a job, because the kid is too small and they have to take care of the kid and stuff. So in such cases, I have to be very patient and very understanding manager, because I want to know what they are going through, although and then act accordingly and suggest them a course of action, so that they can be productive as well as they can take care of their personal responsibilities towards a kid and family and stuff. So Yeah, and one size fits all approach is generally used in a lot of organizations, large organizations particularly, but that doesn't work. It has not worked for me in managing a team of remote workers, because the thing is, everybody has different reasons to work from home, so you cannot really judge them on one single parameter. All of them you have to look differently, and that's where the personal relationships that you build with your team members come handy. Then once the initial you know ice breaking and trust building is done, you want to move ahead to nurture those people. And the first thing is to build sense of responsibility in them, because as a remote worker, it's a blind job. I have to trust them blindly and expect them to perform, and without a sense of accountability, it cannot happen. The relationship cannot sustain for long. So you just want them to own their work, own the stuff that they do, and feel proud about it. So you would typically want to appreciate them for good things, so that builds in them the sense of responsibility. And then you would also want to on things which are not so good, you also want to be little subtle in certain cases, sometimes direct, but most of the times, initial times, you want to be subtle, because unlike unlike an office environment where you say something on the face and you can see the body language and you can look into eyes, that cannot happen online. So that's something you want to build in them. Then it's very necessary for remote workers to be self motivated, right from choosing their work timings to choosing their routine, and that's something over the time you want to make it on autopilot, including yourself. I have to be self motivated, otherwise I cannot manage a team, because if I'm not self motivated enough, it just doesn't work. People will keep waiting for my feedback on their work, and if I can't provide the feedback in time, or if I'm not available for them at the right time, the relationship won't sustain. So that's something I put a lot of stress on. And then you want to focus more on their learning and their growth. You don't want to focus on what the company wants. You want to focus on what they want and what they want to build and how they can do that. Especially for early stage startups, you don't know where your startup is going, and you at least want to build that sense in your team, that even if the startup fails, or even if it doesn't work, you are better off. So that's something which is very critical for remote teams. And as I said earlier, you have to be very understanding with the team and each member of the team, because yes, there are deadlines and timelines and deliverables and stuff, but as I said, there are various reasons people are in this job and not some other job, which is corporate office based job. So this is where you just have to understand the point. Sometimes they miss deliverables due to very critical reasons, so you want to understand the reason behind it and try to help them to be more productive and be more timely with their work and stuff. So it's one personal experience here. One of my analysts was facing personal family difficulties. He was just not able to work, because in India typically he was newly married, So a lot of people used to visit, a lot of his relatives used to visit them, and that happens very regularly in India. A lot of people come in, and it's very social environment, and then he was not able to focus well, working from home. So this is something where you have to jump in as a manager and say that, okay, give them options of co-working spaces and coffee shops they can work from. Although co-working scene is not very commonplace in India yet. Another day's topic maybe. So. And then the last part of overall managing the team is unmanaging. So you want to delegate as much as you can, so that you can focus on upskilling yourself with newer skills and spend your time, doing something you like, or having a beer with friends and stuff. So this is very essential to me. So when I started off, I was working like 8 to 10 hours a day, and now I work just for 4 hours a day, and my team is awesome. They take care of all the work. I don't have to keep reminding them about deadlines and timelines and stuff. It's just on autopilot. So that's the way you want it to be if you want to focus on building something new. And then once you start delegating, just make your job boring, because you don't have anything else to do. People are doing their job, and as a manager you have very few bits to do. So I use that time to upskill myself and to try to get deeper into so for example, we use a lot of SEO. I'm not a tech guy or a digital marketing guy, but then I use this time to know more about SEO and stuff, so that we can get higher page views and stuff. So and then keeping track, I don't like to micromanage, especially when it's a remote team. Micromanagement doesn't work, and those are the basic qualities that they should, your team members should have: being self-motivated, independent and stuff. So I don't see the need to micromanage unless it gets very critical. If somebody is just not delivering or not available to you, or just not fitting in, I feel that you should be just available for people as a mentor or as a friend they can talk to, and the rest of the things will take care of themselves. That's what I believe in, and so far I have been able to instill that in my team. So there are few MIS that I maintain, and people keep updating them and stuff, but I don't want to overdo it. Like in my previous job, there were 10 Excel sheets that I needed to fill every day, and that sucks. So yeah. And then how to help the team stay productive, or how I've been doing that. Sometimes especially those who work from home and not co-working spaces, they lose motivation at times, or they get bored working from home, or get bored of the same environment. And I am the only digital nomad in the team, although I'm actually pushing people to be digital nomad, but not working so far. So time to time you have to talk to them to about what motivates them and stuff, because sometimes they just get bored, and there is this cloud of ambiguity in between, which stops them from thinking clearly about their priorities or their motivations and stuff. So sometimes you just want to brainstorm with them and help them know that this is what they want, and then they can start being productive again. Then I am also trying, the daily stand-ups, trying to build Scrum in my team, so that we can be more productive and more accountable, and it's more informal team. So, and then having fun time with the team. Uh, so keep trying, if you can, just try to catch up with them every now and then, personally, so that it builds that sense of reality. Otherwise, if you're just working for months without seeing each other's face, or even with Skype and stuff, sometimes it just gets boring, and sometimes you just want to have some fun time. uh, and then keep all the conversations open. So for example, I keep telling my team, the whole team, about what I'm doing in Thailand. Not all of it, but yeah, most of it. So yeah, so if you keep involving them in your life, by telling what you're doing, it works two ways, because if I tell them that I'm working from Thailand and I'm having so much of fun and stuff, they start feeling like, okay, this is a motivation, they can do this with this job and not with a office based job. So they start feeling motivated. And second thing is, they because I'm sharing something personal and about my life and about what I'm doing, it builds that personal connect with them, which is essential to manage a remote team. So yep, so all these points that I said so far, I didn't think about them before I was supposed to give this talk. uh, this comes straight from my heart. I have just jotted down some points, so I'm showing the recording to my team. Guys, it's genuine. So yeah, that's not a style. So that's it. If you have any questions, you're free to ask.
Is this live?
Oh, there is a camera out there.
Is it live?
Yeah, not live,
It's not live?
just recording. So
How much will we edit out after?
there is a
Yeah, do you have a recommended comp structure? And are you doing salaried or hourly? How do you?
by practice we have salaried.
Okay.
Although it's tricky because they're not fully salaried. On paper they act as a consultant, because by law they an American company cannot pay salary to Indian people. They have to set up in India first, and it's a complicated process. So on paper we work as a consultant, but in reality it's just like a salaried job, because we have tried with the freelancer stuff, and it just doesn't work long time, because for something like financial research, there is so much of learning and so much of stuff that goes into it. And if you hire a freelancer for this, you'll probably spend a lot of time training them and stuff. So yeah. Yes, Sebastian.
Can you talk about if you have any tests set up to test the people at the beginning and just give them like little bits of work to filter out the ones that may have oversold themselves on the interview, and do you also have like a predetermined probation period after which, if they're not working out, you're not really firing them, you're just if you don't work out within the first 30 days, then that's it, sorry, you didn't work out.
Yeah. So we have like 4 or 5 stage interview process. One of the part is actually write an article or a research report based on the data given. That's quite stringent because we have checks in place to check plagiarism and stuff. So people have to actually write some stuff, write an article and report and send it to us. I feel that's a very good indicator of the abilities of the people we are hiring. And to make it more fun, we try to squeeze, give them particular time. So we call them, we tell them that okay, this is your topic, and within next 3 hours we want a report. So yeah, so that they don't try to scheme us and stuff.
Do you lose a large percentage of your interviewees through this process?
A lot of them we lose right in the beginning when we tell them that it's a remote job. So yeah, but yes, we lose quite a lot of them in the strictest part of the process.
Where do you find your employees?
LinkedIn, then job search websites and stuff. We don't approach consultants because they charge fees to both the ends and it's difficult. Yeah.
Do you offer incentives at all, or just straight salary?
So we do offer incentives between 10 to 25%, but large component is fixed salary.
So we do offer incentives.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
top of salary, bonuses, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What about Upwork?
Pardon?
Websites like Upwork, where you can find people that want only remote jobs. Isn't that like making the process easier?
See, Upwork and all, again, it works for freelancing, mostly freelancing, and then it works for certain skill sets, but finding somebody in financial services or research on Upwork is a difficult job because, I've tried that myself and has not worked for me.
So, can I ask how many people you have? Like virtual? Do you have someone not virtual as well?
So I am not virtual, and all the people are real. All the characters are real.
Do you have someone to
Yeah.
manage them again? I mean,
Not really. I have a team of 8 right now. Previously, I have had more people and stuff. So right now, this is the biggest team that I'm handling. Overall, the company, I was one of the first five employees of the company, and now we are about 70. So, yeah.
What project management tool do you use to manage all these people?
We tried with something called Bitrix 24. I don't know who came up with that, but yeah, that's bad.
You tried that, what do you use now?
Now we don't really use any strict project management tool as such, because the thing is simple. We don't have it's not like the team works on a single project. Each one of the professional, each one of my team members have different tasks, and it doesn't really
They don't need to collaborate.
Yeah, they don't need to collaborate.
Spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
How often do you meet your team in person?
Pardon?
How often do you meet your team in person?
How often?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in my current team I have just met one guy, and once I'm back in India I'm going to meet all of them. I've been working with these people for last 8 months, and I'm already feeling bad. Actually, I asked all of them to send me selfies because yesterday suddenly I was missing all of them, and I just thought I'll show, if there is a screen, I'll show the faces of the people I'm working with. And yeah.
Do you communicate by Facebook or what's your communication tools?
We use Slack, Skype, mostly Slack and Skype, and then the shitty Bitrix 24. Yeah.
How do you manage the hours worked? Is there times that you need people available?
It's not really about time, and as I said, I don't want to track the time people work in and all, because it's too much of monitoring, and that doesn't work. I just focus on the deliverables and getting things done.
Available for hours though, like particular times of the day that or do you just ask people to deliver?
Yeah, I just tell them work your own times. because as I said, a lot of women with kids, they can't work during day, or they have to start working at late in the night when the kid sleeps. So it's up to them. Yeah.
If you could explain very simply, what does your company do?
Oh, so we write investment research articles. So it's like Investopedia, but more deeper, because Investopedia they explain the stuff, concept and stuff, but we go few levels higher, and it's like equity research reports that you get from brokerages and stuff. So we have content partnership with Yahoo Finance and Nasdaq and stuff. So our content gets syndicated to Yahoo Finance.
See, so
So,
writers mainly.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I won't say writers, because there is we have this filtering criteria where you need to have certain basic level of knowledge of finance and stuff.
Analysis, etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
How do you make sure that you have enough work for everyone?
Uh,
Because you have 8 people, and I can imagine that the work goes up and down. How do you...
Yeah. So, each one of them handle different industry. So, I have an analyst who handles airlines. So, that analyst tracks all the airline companies like Delta and JetBlue and all the American airline companies. So they know the set of companies that they are going to handle. Yes, there is some seasonality in work, because when these companies report their quarterly earnings and stuff, the volume of work is much higher, and so right now it's much higher because all the companies are reporting. In some months, typically, like September, December, March, and June, the volume of work is little less, but I think we just average it out over 3 months. So
you're okay with the fact that it's sometimes a little lower, you just let that go?
yeah, because sometimes they may not have enough topics to talk about, and nothing is happening in the industry and stuff.
And if somebody is a bit quicker with typing and smarter, they can earn the same salary in less time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
some people maybe work more hours for the same salary than the people who are more professional.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it specifically India focused, India audience, or world audience?
It's mostly American audience.
Okay.
So, the focus is on US stock markets, S&P 500 mostly. So, yeah.
Are you also being managed, or are you the business owner?
Good question. I don't know the answer. I'm not the business owner for sure, but I talk to my boss once in 2 months. That's it. So I'm not being managed.
Good job. Are there any investments you recommend right now?
Let's take it up separately.
Do you hire exclusively in India?
So we have, mostly the research analysts, they're mostly based in India. We have a tech team in Argentina. Then I have a colleague in Tokyo. So it's a diversified team, but yep, mostly in India. My team is mostly in India.
Can you explain the difference between, like, there's the London stock market, Shanghai stock market, New York stock market. Companies only list on one stock market, like, oh, okay, and then most people focus on New York or London?
It depends, so stock markets, so it can be another day's topic if I want to talk about finance, but just to answer your question, stock markets are like markets, right? There can be different markets. Getting it. So if let's say it's new, why people prefer different stock exchanges and not somebody else, is like why people prefer Amazon and not some other e-commerce website. So that's the most basic answer to that question.
How do you deal with accountability, mistakes, missed deadlines, things like that?
For first couple of instances, I'm mostly lenient because I feel people are still getting used to the new environment or the old environment. They got to see only couple of hours a day. But if it gets more, so yeah, I forgot to talk about firing. Yeah, so I should continue. I had an instance where we hired a member in the team we thought was good, but then he stopped responding to emails, stopped responding to calls, and responding in the sense, if I send a mail in the morning, I used to get the response in the evening or something, and then when I used to call her, it used to be every time she used to hang up and then call me sometime later and stuff. So this sort of things, I feel if they are happening over time, you cannot tolerate, and that's where I had to let go of that analyst. But yeah, first couple of times I'm generally lenient because. Any other question?
How's the job pool in India? When I think of India, I think of this place with a lot of really brilliant workers fighting for jobs, and they're not asking for huge salaries. Is that way off?
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of people, but I would say it's not that they don't ask for too much of salary. It really depends on where you are. In places like Mumbai and Bangalore, the places are by nature expensive, and you need to earn more.
Is that where you are, Bangalore?
Chiang Mai.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm from a small town. I worked in Mumbai for about 4 years and Bangalore for a couple of years.
Small town of 2 million?
0.8 million.
Oh, okay.
What would you say is the main reason why the majority of your team is local to India?
In India we have a lot of lot of trained professionals in finance. A lot of outsourcing work comes to India from all the big banks and stuff. So I guess it's just about the pool of talent and the ability to speak and write good English. That's it. Anything else? Yeah.
I have a question. What jobs do you think, as a nation, this is obviously very generally speaking, Indians are really good at, and then other jobs maybe not so good at? What would you definitely hire Indian people for, but maybe not hire them for other things?
All right, that's a difficult question because I always feel that India is too big to generalize, in just one measure. But I would say we have good talent pool of designers, of programmers, and of financial analysts. If you want to hire me, yeah. What not good at is a difficult question to answer. I've not thought about it. As a remote worker or as general? I don't know.
Okay.
Frankly, I don't know the answer.
So you just manage these guys a few hours a day, or do you have side projects yourself? Writing content, or what else are you doing?
Yeah.
Apart from like skilling up.
Yeah. So my reason to come to Chiang Mai was to find ways to utilize my time, and yeah. So far, I'm not doing anything apart from my job. I've just been spending time reading stuff, and but yeah, so there are a couple of things that I'm sort of working on in very initial phase. Like I'm thinking of, because when I see Thailand, I feel like, okay, India has a lot to offer too, and it can be a good digital nomad destination going forward. But we don't have the infrastructure, or we don't have, the push from the policies or government, and I feel like that's the space I want to be in. Because before coming here, I sort of worked from a co-living, co-working space for a few months, and that's the time when I thought about this idea. But after coming here, I feel I'll take that up seriously. Anything else? Thanks guys, thanks for coming, and thanks for listening patiently.